Okay, I have
He
figured
never,
out why I've yet to ever sort of develop a love affair with social media.
Okay.
it's
I think
social
I'm on the verge of something big here, guys.
because you're antisocial, like John.
Partly that,
I'm not antisocial.
and partly because it's also the reason why I read less than I used to read.
Okay.
Oh, not even the labels on cereal boxes.
It's because once you do something for a living,
Uh,
Oh yeah.
I mean, God bless McDonald's, right? They employ tons of people. They feed a lot of people for not much money.
hmm
Great stuff. But if I worked at McDonald's 6 days a week, I probably wouldn't go there on my day off for lunch
Probably not.
very
true.
often, right?
Nor would you dress up as the Hamburglar.
So if you write for
Very true.
LinkedIn for hundreds of people,
Yeah.
then at some point you're like, okay, I'm kind of done on social media for myself. We have the inverse of that, don't we? We have like software firms that don't use their own software,
Mhm.
or what was that? What's the Dr. V? You're old enough to remember. What is the saying about
I like
like
how he says this.
or something about cobblers and shoes or
The
children?
cobbler. Well, by the way, we didn't have many
Yes.
cobblers where I was.
Yes.
Uh,
Or the
we
No,
did have
I technically have
horses
never
and
met a cobbler, as
buggies.
far as I know.
or the contractor who does no work on his own house.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Right. It's like it's the last thing you do because it's what you do for work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, other than these videos, I really don't produce much of my own. We are having our big event,
Woo.
walking people through the positioning workshop
September
a
8th.
week from tomorrow.
It's coming.
No, a week from Thursday.
Correct.
We just today hit. So we've still got what 9 days left, and we're
Yeah.
already in triple digits for how many
I'm
people
going
are
to
Yeah.
coming
crank it
to
up.
the thing.
We should have made it the 10th, then we could have celebrated my birthday.
Yeah, we had
Or
a
the
whole bunch of
11th
people
so
have
that
showed
we'd
up
always
on
remember.
Saturday on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
Let's remember. I know. Right?
yeah, right.
There's a lot of stuff going on in September.
True.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
other than
celebrating
those
times.
kind of things and these, the big events and these videos, of course, where we try to help as many people who are using LinkedIn as possible,
Mhm.
I don't produce a lot for LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
it's because, I mean, if you look at it as an aggregate, I produce a ton of stuff for
hmm
LinkedIn. It's just
Mhm.
none of it's for me.
Right.
Mm.
But if you look at
I
it
think this is for you.
on a
This
daily
raises your
basis,
stature if you're
it does.
Sure,
broadcasting on
but I
LinkedIn.
mean, I don't post every day. I don't like
Oh,
share stuff. I don't even give my opinion on stuff. I don't comment on stuff for people. I should. I know I should. At some point, I'm just going to need to hire someone to do that. But I'm already writing, thousands of words a month for LinkedIn alone on behalf of, fractional CMOs and chief
hmm
technology officers and coaches and entrepreneurs and investors and people who are looking for investors and founders. And so I just don't, do anything for myself that way other than these videos 3 times a
Mhm.
week and the
Mhm.
occasional event.
But it's a good chunk of content every week.
It's the
It's
McDonald's worker scenario.
Yeah.
Would you like fries with that?
Once you you're next to that food 6 days a week. So when you're one day away from it, it doesn't occur to you, you know what? I should go back to that. It's also why I read less.
It's true.
The better and more practiced you become at writing at
Mm.
scale, like I do, you have very little tolerance for people who clearly have not put much effort into the writing of whatever it is they've written, especially
Mm.
books. I cannot stand. I get 2 paragraphs in, and if this person clearly doesn't know how to write or write succinctly, I got to bounce out of there. It's
Like it
just
was
too
a
much
dark and
work
storm.
to
It was a dark
slog
and stormy
through.
night.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just read everything on the internet because I wouldn't want to read something that wasn't correct.
yeah. There you go. Right. It's done easy enough for you. So here's your challenge for today.
Okay.
Okay.
If you
Convince me
just
I'm wrong.
accept, you
I
forgot that.
don't post, I don't share, I don't comment on behalf of myself.
Mhm.
Convince me I'm wrong.
Convince you you're
Make
wrong.
the argument that I should either hire someone to do that or
it's
make the
easy.
time to do it.
Yeah. Go, John.
Using whatever basis for that you
Gotcha.
want to. I'll be a better person. I'll be helping more people. I will make more money. I will increase brand awareness. I will
Oh,
whatever argument you want to throw at
you're
me.
setting us up with all
You're
those
actually doing
whatevers.
it
That's
for
great.
me, which is
Honestly, if you
kind of
manage to if you manage to convince me and change my mind, think about how much better off I might be
I
You'll be a
a
happier
year from
human.
now after a year of commenting and posting and sharing and
I mean
upvoting and whatever else.
you've already mentioned most of the reasons to do social media, and that is to, promote brand awareness, get people to know who you are, get people to know your personality. You can produce some video around things because video tends to get people to know, like, and trust you better and faster. So you kind of sold
I
yourself
don't
on
think
that.
I can do any more video.
Oh, sure you
90
can.
minutes of
You can do
video a week is enough.
short form
So,
video.
so this is
Short form video. The studio in your hand.
yes.
5 seconds. You don't think you could do a 5 second video?
I definitely think you'd do
What
it
is
by
5 seconds? One sentence?
It could be one sentence.
It could be
That's
one
correct.
sentence.
Short form content is huge nowadays.
Super huge.
Video, we said before, 85% of all internet traffic is video. And if you're not doing video, particularly short form
Okay,
video,
hold on.
what happened?
I
Did you lose me?
know I want to address that. All right, after
Okay.
having spent 20 years almost coming up in the telecom and cable broadband infrastructure world,
Right.
it's unfair, that statistic. It's an unfair statistic, and here's why. Obviously, if you've got, I don't know how to explain this. If you go to Walmart and you bring home a watermelon, a pen, and 1 penny left over, and you weighed them, it's inaccurate to say 95% of everything that you got at Walmart was watermelon. Video takes up so much bandwidth compared to
Let's take a
text
thought balance.
that saying 83% of the traffic is video can, depending on what that means, well, obviously it's gigantic. So it takes up more space than a pipe. If you're saying 83% of all the requests, 83% of all of the clicks or whatever, if that's what traffic means, and I don't know whether traffic means one or the other,
Mm-hmm.
then that's one thing. That means that 83 out of every 100 things that the general public does on the internet involves posting or downloading a video. But to say 83% of traffic on the internet is video, well, yeah, because it's like hundreds of times as big per second of entertainment
Mm-hmm.
than like text would be, and hundreds of, dozens or hundreds of times as big as photos might be.
Mm-hmm.
So that argument, I'm not buying. Obviously, I agree with you 100%. At any given time, this was, I don't know, this was 7 or 8 years ago. Any given evening between 6 and 9 p.m., prime time, in whatever time zone you're in, Netflix was 25% of all the traffic on the internet in your area.
Right.
But didn't mean that 25% of everyone in your area using the internet was using Netflix. It's because movies are gigantic as they push them through a pipe.
You know what's funny? I'm thinking kind of about what you just said, and I've got a number of friends who over the years have
Make him
all.
wrong, John.
I'm working on it. I'm going around in a different way.
Hurt him, John. Hurt him.
So I've had over the years a number of friends that are like you, that didn't want to do social media. They said, I don't see why. It doesn't gain me anything. I've got a list I communicate with. I've got all of these things. It doesn't seem to be hurting my business at all. I'm making good money.
Yeah.
So where does it fit? So I think the place that it fits is it gives you other avenues to make, your space look lived in. It gets people to know, like I said, know, like, and trust you better, because it's really the only way that they can see you in video, hear your true voice, besides, the stuff that you write. Now, you're a great writer. And so you're ahead of the game already over even a lot of video people because you just write really well.
It's good. Flatter him first, John, and then move in for the
Well,
kill.
thank you. That's what I'm working on. No, but it's so what's really interesting about this, and you saying this right now, is I have watched these exact people who said, I don't need social media, now moving into social media, building communities,
Mhm.
building YouTube channels, Instagram, doing all this stuff that, like you, they said, why do I need this? And so there's really two sides of that coin. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's too complex for you right now. Maybe you need to really
Maybe
be.
you're a Neanderthal.
Maybe I'm a
That's
heretic.
possible too, but I don't want to go there yet. So maybe what you need is the basics and to run a very simple business to get started. And I think that's true with a lot of people when they get started. And in reality, in a lot of ways, you are kind of just getting started. In some ways, you haven't been as involved in in marketing on the internet as you are right now. So usually what you see is you see exactly that. You see people really simplify things, and then all of a sudden they go, I want to get out there. I want to be seen a little more. I want people to know me better. I want to share a little more so that people can see a little more of what's inside of my head. I don't
Nobody needs that, John.
Chomping at the bit. Chomping at the bit. I am chomping at the bit now. So,
Yeah, now your turn.
so here's the
Now
deal.
he's ready,
Okay,
John. Finally,
let's
he's ready.
let's get. Well, I mean, this is where are you going to develop a personal brand or not? Now, in general, people have been known to buy from people. Can we agree about that?
Of
True
course.
enough. Yes. Quite a
Okay,
lot of my
sure
work
enough.
is
People
True
writing
dat.
things to
people
get
buy
other
from
people to do
people.
stuff.
True that. So it is exceedingly important in today's marketing world to cut through the noise by developing your personal brand, your style. You don't have to go into what's inside your head because believe me, nobody wants to go inside this head either. And
Definitely not.
he definitely not. John knows he's
Been
taking a peek.
there,
He
hung
took a
out,
peek and he slammed the door shut.
took the
And so,
joyride.
but video, insofar as an information source, is the source for 66% of people in the year 2022.
Fair
Now,
enough.
that number is likely to go up. So let's wipe out the 83-85% of internet traffic. TikTok eclipsed Google in terms of traffic,
Mhm.
eyeballs, time spent in 2021. God knows what it is right now. And people who are just on Facebook, because we keep talking about the death of Facebook. There's something in the neighborhood of 500 million people on Facebook alone watching videos every day, including this one, which we have
Right.
shared.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and well over 3/4 of all videos that are out there right now come from these gorgeous little mobile devices.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And so the world has gone from horizontal to vertical in terms of video. And I mean, YouTubers alone, I'm trying to remember this now. They spend somewhere over upward of 300 hours of video content, uploading, I should say, of video content to the platform every minute.
400.
It's a lot.
So 400 now, so it's bigger now. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, and so as John was talking about too, 93% of businesses or more, it's probably 95 by now. They will actually gain new customers as the result of branded video content. So video is big. I mean, the other thing is you have to consider consider search. Google, the big G or Alphabet, depending on how you like your soup, they actually do track social signals.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So this reminds me of the fact that what was it, John? Was it 3 years ago or more that Twitter and Google came to an agreement whereby 15% of the entire Twitter feed was being crawled by Google
By
in
Google.
order
Yeah,
to get
I think
some
it was three
level
or
of
4 years
social
ago.
signals. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I
You'd be
mean,
missing out on a lot of you'd be missing out on a lot of social signals
yeah, the
in what you
social
do.
signals. I mean, and so I mean, it's one of those things where, particularly, I do believe developing the personal brand is really important because somehow, somewhere, some person is going to develop a certain degree of resonance with Dean Way and realize that he is way cool,
Yeah, so let
and
me
I
add
want to
two.
work with him.
Yeah, can I add two? Sneak in two things to that?
No, no, yes, you can.
Okay, that's it. I'm out of here. All right.
I don't think
So
it
so
counts as sneaking if you ask permission to put it in.
It's true.
um, that's a good
Oh,
point.
Well,
that's
John
a
is
terrible
woefully.
double entendre. That was not meant to be sexual in any
Yeah,
way.
but
I'm
Okay.
insulted.
Please, John, go ahead and bring this back to a PG level if you don't mind.
All right, I wouldn't mind.
G13.
Hey,
PG
so
13.
what I was going to say is, if you weren't on social media, you would be missing out on a lot of um, Web3, a lot of SEO. You'd be missing out on a lot of traction with video. And usually, when people produce content, they do it in one of two ways. They're either stronger writer or they're stronger video creator. And so you'll either start from writing and create video and audio, or you start from video and create audio and written. Video to audio and written is actually the simplest. But
I would say,
yes,
yeah, the ease of content creation, John, that is huge
it
in terms of
increases
doing. Yeah,
significantly. Yeah. So I don't
so
know. Are we convincing you at all?
not yet.
Mm, I think all you're
He's super
convincing me is
skeptical right
that
now.
there's a benefit to having done it.
Yeah.
But I'm actually looking through my email here because I remember we talked about a tool a while back. They,
Ah,
this writing for all those other people, right? I mean, I
Right.
see they need what I'm writing for them because most of them are not,
of
that's not
course.
where their skill set and mind is how to write to move people on LinkedIn or anywhere else. And so I write for them. And by the way, in case you're ever watching this, like, actually, never mind. I'm not watching.
You can
Burn,
pitch them.
just
But do
burn it.
Anyway.
you remember, it really comes down to taking what I already have and sort of repackaging it. And I do
It
not
does.
have the bandwidth for that. I am going to
Mm.
have to pay someone to do this. Do you remember,
Hmm.
or I need to
I
Google
I
accept
it.
know a
cash,
guy.
credit card,
Oh, I got to
and
tell you guys something else. By the way. We'll get to it in a second. But do you remember one of the earlier episodes we did around tools that we like? Do you remember Snackable?
Yeah, I do.
snackable.
In fact, I wanted to remember the name of that. I'm glad you mentioned
I was trying to remember the name of it, and that's why I was
it.
just digging through my
Snackable.
email for this. Snackable, Dr. V, in case you don't remember, is where you would upload your video and an AI would like scrub through it and pick out excerpts and make short
Oh,
video out of a long video.
Mm.
completely forgot about that. That could be useful.
Yeah,
Yeah, super useful. I
that
was
could
just
be
thinking about the
useful.
other day, but I couldn't remember the name. Thank you, Dean.
So that's snackable.ai, I think it's called.
Snackable.
Snackable. Not
Yep,
to be confused with
Not,
snackable.ai.
snackable.
oh, snackables. Yeah, snackables. A lot of
So, I mean, if
artificial
they're still
ingredients.
around, I need to go look at that. They're a
Yeah.
startup, so you don't know if they're still
But
around.
that's one of those things where these tools, repurpose.io is one that we've talked a lot about. Also, there are plenty of places to take
Oh
something like
gosh,
this. So if you
there's
just
so
took,
many
yeah,
different
let's say
things.
in the world of automation, if you just took these broadcasts and got Snackable or repurpose.io or something out there to pull in little 15-second commercials, you'd find it to be particularly useful because people do want to snack on video and they're not willing to slog through an
Right.
hour and a half webinar, for example.
Yeah,
Because
and
we
I
had
think
the thing we did, John and I did a commercial for a 6-minute webinar.
By
yeah.
the way, have you guys ever listened to any of these or watched any of these videos that we make 3 times a week?
Yeah, bits and pieces, but not the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know.
This is going to sound like ridiculous and self-serving, and I'm patting ourselves on the back. But for instance, I watched the one last week
Mhm.
where we walked through some of the questions that are coming up in the workshop next week, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And that video is excellent. Also, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but I've
You may say
watched
so
some of the
yourself.
earlier ones and now the later ones. For the most part, unless we literally don't know what we're talking about, for the
Hmm.
most part, our crutch words are almost gone. The ahs, the
Oh yeah.
the rights, the likes. They're
You s-
almost gone. We're so
Really?
used to speaking on camera
Huh.
that those crutch words have almost been sort of over time filtered through and filtered out.
Okay.
and that's pretty much the classic.
Like, if
You
like,
suck
right?
until
Like,
you get better.
what I'm like talking about.
You
Yeah,
know, you know, you know.
I know.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
very pleased about it. There's one section where I used crutch words a few times, a lot of ums and stuff, as I was trying to formulate an
Mm,
answer, I think, to a question you guys had asked me that I'd never thought of before.
Hmm.
And for that, I needed a little bit of interrupted time, right? Some interstitial moments. And I used some crutch words there. But otherwise, all three of us are doing really well now for cleaning up our
Excellent.
delivery,
Why, thank you.
which means looking at this snackable data AI website that I'm on right now, it means that once that's ripped out, once you've gotten the crutch word sort of cleaned out of your presentation, the AI has a much easier time pulling out something useful that doesn't require
right.
the audience to listen to all the crutch words all the time.
So
Yes.
cool.
So maybe for if you're just beginning in video or getting used to speaking live, these services are not quite for you because they can't suppress or do anything to
Mhm.
those interruptions. But once you're a bit more experienced with it and you're used to not having as many of them, then I think the AI would have an easier time pulling out a really good clip.
I think it goes to what John always talks about, which is camera confidence. So you
Yeah.
get to the
Yeah.
point where you just do this, and you alluded to this, Dean, where you're doing it over and over and over again. John and I have been doing live streams together since March of
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are way ahead of me. You're like 2 years ahead of me on this.
Yes
I'm
and no. I
more than
think
that.
because of your talent of writing and speaking, I think that you're way ahead of
Mhm.
us. So that's my argument.
Well, you probably have
Yes, sir.
more. Everybody's got, and everybody has their way of doing video. If you were
Yeah.
to ask the average person, do you feel more comfortable speaking by yourself on video, or do you feel more comfortable talking with somebody else as you're making a video? I know I am the second. I don't feel comfortable speaking by myself on video. I don't know. I'm
I,
just, but I can, but I'm not as comfortable as I am having somebody else speaking with me
I would say I've had the
or
same
to
thing for
converse
the
with.
longest time, but starting the short form video challenge that was offered to us by one of our coaches, John, I have a short form video coach. That challenge in particular has improved my confidence in being
Yes.
able to rip out, 15-second,
Yeah, mine
16
too.
second videos. And because I now imagine that I'm speaking to someone, having
Mm,
a real conversation, just as we have had for, gosh, what are we going on now? More than 2.5 years.
Yeah.
more. Yeah,
More.
more
Oh,
than
two more points.
3-ish.
Yes.
One, we are going to have a new guest, looks like, on Thursday. And in fact, we may have
We
a
are.
new guest at least once a week for the next several weeks
Mm.
because
Oh
I sort of,
my.
and if you're watching this, whether you're watching it the week of August 29th to September what, or you're watching it whenever in the future, my email address is always on screen. And if you want to come on and be one of our guests, it is or can be one of the easiest gigs in all of business live streaming, right?
Or
Because
not,
if you don't
depending.
want to talk much, you don't have to talk much. There are lots of other people talking. And if you want to talk more and contribute more, cool, we're happy to help you.
Yeah.
And so we have a guest, I talked to him yesterday. I've known him for years and years.
Oh, cool.
Philip Powell. I've done some work with him in the past. Philip has done he's a
I
video producer and a
know
director, and
Philip.
he's worked for a lot of people
Yeah,
that
I
you've
thought
not
for a
heard
second
of.
he said Colin
I met
Powell.
him because
Oh,
Philip does your presentations and slides and stuff.
Yeah, we've done some work together on
That's how I
presentations
know
and
Philip.
slides, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, but every week for the next few weeks, we're probably going to have someone. I let people choose what day. So just so if you're watching this in the future or right now,
Yeah, we should do
we
that more.
tend to talk about sales and marketing topics, but as widely as possible, right?
Hmm.
On Tuesdays, we talk about social media. These guys have not done a particularly great job of convincing
oh,
me.
oh, oh, because you're talking too much.
On
What?
Wednesdays, we do
What?
Website Wednesday, and that's probably the easiest day to be a guest because all you have to do is watch me sweat and then ask questions. And the Thursdays are fairly open. So if you have a topic that you'd like to talk about, or you think that A, more people should know about it, or B, we haven't talked about it much, or C, any other reason you can dream up, then let me
Mm,
know what day you'd want to come on, and you can just join the panel, and we're happy to have you.
cool.
Oh, and then I got to mention, because we're talking about snackable, and
Yeah.
it's an AI driven thing. Yesterday, I talked to someone who I may end up doing quite a bit of work with,
Hmm.
and this person asked me straight out. We've covered this topic on this show many times. Asked me if I used any of the AI copywriting tools, and I was, of course, as you guys know, I do not use any. I keep dipping my finger, sort of, into that area every 4 or 5 months to see if they're getting
Yeah.
any better. And if I was like a very, very junior content creation kind of copywriter,
Yes.
I'd be scared of those things. But I don't, A, I don't use them. B, I don't have to use them, partly because of the kind of writing that I do, which tends to be short form. And three, I don't use them because of the particular, we don't need to go into the details, but the particular brain wiring thing that is both a blessing and a curse that I live with, which means I'm inordinately fast
Mm-hmm.
already.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the first time any potential customer had ever asked me, which just
Hmm.
goes to show how widespread the knowledge of these kind of tools is becoming.
Well,
Very
and the,
widespread.
the rumors are that Google is now working on their own AI to detect AI generated content.
Interesting,
That's
not
interesting.
surprising. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
in
they
order to what?
they've
Punish
been
it?
doing that for a while,
Well,
especially
yeah,
with
but
especially
yeah,
with images.
But to
yeah,
promote it or punish it?
to punish it,
Yeah.
Yes.
to punish
Yeah.
it.
Hey,
So
so
think about it.
okay, well, hey, so I want to go back to one other reason that you'd want to be involved in social media.
I
Yes,
got
sir.
many
So
more.
something happened to me recently, right? I bought some software from a company, and who will remain nameless. Okay, yeah, they're
Oh,
going
I
to
know who
remain
it is.
nameless.
Okay, go ahead.
You don't have to be
I thought
nameless.
about
We've
naming
mentioned
them
lots of software companies on this
just
show.
to shame them a little bit, but
Are they a sponsor?
so one other reason that I think social media starts to after you start to really grow becomes very handy is that it gives you another place for people to get in touch with you. So
Hmm.
let's say, for example, I can't reach so and so by their email. I can't reach so and so by their support. I
Mm-hmm.
can't reach them by their personal email. I can't reach them in their Facebook group. I can't reach them by Facebook page. It gives you other touch points that you can start to find people by. So I've been touching these guys or trying to touch these guys a lot and not
A
succeeding.
good touch too, not a bad
A
touch.
good touch, not a bad touch, a good touch, yes, but not succeeding. But I think that's another reason that after a time, social media starts to make sense or more and more sense. In the beginning, maybe not as much, but
Let's talk digital real estate because
Okay.
people go where people go. When
yeah.
I was setting up my practice in DC, I located my office directly across from a major mall. Why would I do that? Because people saw my signs every single day when they were parked at that light trying to leave the mall or they were stopped at the light. And getting those eyeballs on me was one of the most important things. Now,
Yeah.
if you say, I don't want to do social media, but 95% of your customers use social media,
Right.
you're missing out on the opportunity to reach them.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn is social media. So if you don't want to do social, that's another story. But when you meet people at a party, for example, you could stand in the corner by yourself for the entire party and no one will ever know who you are. You also will probably be the person who never makes contact with someone with a potential prospect. And that is an option for you.
Mhm.
But to be a recluse in today's world and trying to sell people is not the ideal strategy.
Not an ideal strategy.
Fair enough.
I'm
Yeah.
done.
I'm gonna have to get some AI tools and maybe pay
You
somebody.
could get some AI tools, and I do, as I said, Venmo me. I'll help you. Don't worry.
There you go. Yeah. I may need an assistant for it. I'm not sure. The busier I get, the less bandwidth I have to work on this kind of stuff.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I need a VA.
I actually act many times as my wife's overqualified VA.
Oh
So
yeah.
Highly
I do.
overqualified.
I do. Um, there's my word for today. Think of places like Reddit. That's also a social media platform. And people regard Pinterest as social media. It really isn't. It's the visual search engine. Um, another I'm thinking LinkedIn. I'm thinking Facebook use is down quite a bit, but your audience, if they are older, they are there. And the people with the cash, you probably are interested in
Around.
those people, even the ones you think are not there. Let's say
Mhm.
you have a CTO or a CMO or fractional individual of whatever fraction you want. That person perhaps has a spouse or has children who are also on social media.
Mhm.
And eventually you want to get to the point, not at the very beginning, but eventually you want to get to the point of having omnipresence so that your prospect will not only see this live video that you do on LinkedIn, but will see you in bite sized snacks on places like Twitter, on places like TikTok, for example, where the fastest growing audience happens to be 55 plus.
Right.
So you can decide that you don't want to play, but you also will likely not get paid
Right.
as much as you could if you were playing the social media game. So, and automation can help you. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. What's the other one besides Snackable you talked about?
For what?
Repurpose.io, I think is what it was.
Repurpose? Never heard of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this.
John has a.
I got a giant list of.
John knows. John is a. We refer to him sometimes as a software addict. I was trying to get him a 12-step program, but
Yeah.
he wouldn't do it unless there was a
No,
piece of AI software to manage 12-step programs.
because I used to work in software.
Yeah.
This
E-commerce too. If you're selling stuff on e-commerce, which I granted you're selling services, Dean, as opposed to stuff, but stuff and
right.
things, you definitely want to be out
Although
there.
I am building a course.
Well, there you go. That's a stuff.
Mhm.
That's a stuffy thing.
Definitely.
It's not going to be stuffy. I'm sure it's going to be quite lovely.
Wow, this
Oh,
repurpose one looks interesting.
It
they're
is.
interesting. The only challenge I have with repurpose is they're taking horizontal videos, trying to make them vertical, and you get
Right.
these large black bars above and below your videos, and that's how people can tell that you've used something like
And where there's one
Right.
repurpose, there are about 5 other tools that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
At any given time.
And yeah, so you should send me a list. We should do a thing someday where you go through your list.
Our list.
Peek into John's list.
Speaking to
John's list is a
oh,
gigantic list.
John's list, you wouldn't believe.
Okay, well, that's 30 minutes for today. I guess I need to go find someone to pay and take care
I'll
of
help
this
you
kind of
find
stuff.
somebody. We have
Yeah.
Yes,
some great
please.
VAs, by the way, who are underemployed. So
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
yeah, I may have your
You know,
connection.
the biggest thing is I will say the biggest thing is getting somebody to create the stuff that you want. The easy part about it, not easy at first, but once it's done, it's super simple. Is the automation of it. So you can automate it so it gets posted everywhere.
Right.
And your
So
same
people know.
content can be rotated every 90 days or
Correct.
120 days
Yeah,
because a
you
lot
don't.
of people have
Oh,
never seen it before.
Right.
true. Yeah.
Right. You don't have to keep using fresh stuff. So, but designing it is always the hard part. At
Yeah.
least for me. For this guy, he's good at designing it.
He's a
But
maniac. Canva maniac.
I can make my way through it. I can hack my way through it.
I tell you, there's certain things, certain tools that we've talked about before. We always had Tools Thursday, but I do like the idea of having guests and other things because there's only so many tools
I
for
do too.
fools that you can promote
Yeah.
and talk about.
I know lots of great guests.
Hey, if we
We're
end
done.
up with Philip Powell on Thursday,
Yeah.
Yeah.
ask him which politicians he's worked for, because he never
Ooh.
wants to talk. He's been like flown around the country, on private planes to do TV commercials and stuff for politicians, but he won't
Nice.
say who. And so hit him up again. I really want to know an answer.
All right.
He doesn't work for politicians anymore, but he used
No.
to. And
In
it's
your
like, who's he
in
working
your
for?
checkered past, Mr. Powell.
Yeah. I
So-
mean,
I've
money
almost
is money, but like
I've
whoever.
almost locked in a few things with
Yeah.
different politicians to work with, but
All right, that's it for today then. I hit the red button and then I'm going to say goodbye and then I'm going to hit a blue button and that's when it really ends.
Auf
Good old
Wiedersehen.
restream. I'm
I'm no
so
longer
glad we got
singing.
our restream issues ironed out in the last few weeks and it seems pretty rock solid again. Thankfully.
that's
Took
good.
all
All
those
right, and
wrinkles out.
tomorrow is, as I always say, the
The
worst day of the
best
week.
day of the week.
Wednesday. It's
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Website
Website
Wednesday.
Wednesday. It's a
So we're
wonderful
back for
Wednesday.
Website Wednesday.